Air burns, yet it does not harm me. The light, it surrounds me. It feels alive. Who is there? Is someone watching me? The voice of God from the fire said, "Fear not, for I am sent to unveil what you have sought." The man said, You speak, yet I cannot see you clearly." "Who are you?" The angel replies, "I am a messenger of the one above all, Son of Earth. I'm here to guide, to answer, to illuminate what your heart has long questioned." The man said, "My heart, it trembles. I feel unworthy." The angel replies, "Beloved one, trembling is the mark of the soul awakening. Courage is not absence of fear, but presence with the divine despite it." The man said, "Why? Why must life feel so heavy for those who seek to do right?" The angel replies, "Because light draws weight. Those who walk in purity bear refinement, not punishment. Every trial is a teacher. Every tear is a seed. Even in suffering, you are being shaped for what only you can carry." The man said, "But when prayer feels silent, when my hands reach and nothing responds?" The angel replies, "Silence does not mean absence. It is preparation. The Father works in ways unseen. When the path closes, do not despair. The roots of your destiny are deepening. Wait, Son of Earth, with patience." The man said, "So even in my suffering there is purpose?" The angel replies, "Yes. The hidden hand of the Father moves unseen, drawing your spirit toward strength you have yet to know." The man said, I see. "And the angels, do all men have one? Or more than one?" The angel replies, "Every soul has guardians, some one, some many, depending on the weight of their calling. But remember, Son of Earth, obedience multiplies protection. One faithful angel is stronger than a legion in rebellion." The man said, "If we all have angels, why do bad things still happen?" The angel replies, "Because will was given to man. We guard, we guide, but do not override choice. Darkness strikes when it may, and strength is born in the struggle. The Father permits trials to awaken wisdom and courage." The man said, I think I understand, but if angels are here to protect us, can they always stop harm?" The angel replies, "We intervene where possible, Son of Earth, yet not to erase consequence. Lessons and growth must unfold. Protection is not license for passivity." The man said, "Why do we need angels when we have the Holy Spirit?" The angel replies, "The Spirit dwells within, we serve without. He is breath, we are motion. He teaches your heart, we guard your steps. Light flows through all channels, each working in harmony." The man said, "And do you feel what we feel? Pain, love, temptation?" The angel replies, "We perceive, but we are not bound. Our love is service, our joy obedience. You, Son of Earth, are dust and spirit. Redemption flows through your weakness in ways we long to understand." The man said, "Can an angel possess a man?" The angel replies, "No, we do not inhabit flesh. Only the Spirit of the Father may dwell within. We visit, defend, guide, but we do not possess. Shadows may seek to deceive, discern by peace and truth." The man said, "So even when evil strikes, the Spirit and angels are here?" The angel replies, "Always. You are never without guidance, though you may not always perceive it." The man said, "The trials, they return again." "Why?" The angel replies, "Peace is not absence of battle, but presence of understanding. Each trial expands your territory, grows your spirit, awakens obedience. Do not despise them. They are teachers." The man said, "And how do I distinguish between my own thoughts and divine guidance?" The angel replies, "True guidance carries peace even in cost. Humility is the proof. Doors that open with surrender were meant for you. Those that must be forced were not. The man said, and all of this, angels, trials, guidance, what is the purpose? The angel replies, all flows toward love. Your life, each step, each breath, is the Father remembering himself through you. You were crafted not merely to survive, but to reflect eternity. The man said, I feel it now. The weight, the light, everything seems clearer. The angel replies, beloved dust, carry this truth back to your world. Remember, the eternal walks closer than you know. The man said, I will try to remember, to trust, to walk with him. The angel replies, that is enough, son of earth. The path of obedience is the path of freedom. The man said, tell me more about suffering. Why do good men sometimes suffer more than others? The angel replies, suffering refines, it does not punish. The depths of your trials correlate with the depth of your spirit. Pain that humbles is a seed for greater understanding. The man said, and when I feel despair, what should I do? The angel replies, speak to thee. Speak honestly, in tears if needed. Truth with the Father always returns guidance, even in silence. The man said, how do I know if my prayers are heard? The angel replies, they are heard, beloved one. Answers may not arrive as you expect, yet every heartbeat, every breath is acknowledged. The Father moves through events, shaping them unseen. The man said, even when it seems the answer never comes, the angel replies, even then, patience is the companion of wisdom. Trust in what cannot yet be seen. The man said, can angels truly shield us from every danger? The angel replies, we can guide, protect, and warn. Yet growth requires exposure to trials. Not all dangers are for destruction. Some awaken courage and insight. The man said, I fear my own weaknesses. The angel replies, your weakness is the channel for the Father's strength. Accept it, son of earth. Redemption flows not through perfection, but through surrender. The man said, and the Holy Spirit, how do I feel his work? The angel replies, in quiet moments, in conscience, in clarity of heart, he teaches, convicts, comforts, constantly weaving eternity into your daily steps. The man said, I feel overwhelmed by knowledge. How do I carry this? The angel replies, one breath at a time, beloved dust, one step at a time. Heaven does not burden, it teaches. You will never walk alone. The man said, will I ever fully understand? The angel replies, understanding is endless. Even in eternity, truths unfold. What matters is obedience, not completeness. Follow the light, son of earth. The man said, where am I? This place, it feels endless, alive, yet calm. The angel replies, you stand in a realm untouched by corruption. Fear not, son of man, for I am sent by he who reigns beyond the veil, to unveil what you have sought in silence. The man said, you called me son of man. Why? The angel replies, for that is what you are, a bearer of dust carrying the breath of the eternal. You walk between clay and glory, between weakness and the whisper of divinity. In you lies a mystery that even the heavens behold with wonder. The man said, a mystery. I thought man was frail, fallen. The angel replies, frail, yes, yet crowned with mercy. Fallen, yet pursued by grace. The one above me weaved eternity into mortal breath. Though you fell, he did not turn away. His love bends through ages, refusing to let darkness have the final word. The man said, then tell me what truly is grace. Many say it means freedom to live as one pleases. The angel replies, Grace is not a license to wander. It is the hand that lifts the fallen and restores the broken vessel. It is heaven stooping low to rewrite what was lost. Grace is not weak. It is the strength of the Almighty clothed in compassion. It does not excuse sin. It transforms hearts until sin loses its voice. The man said, "But why then do many claim grace as permission? Even the wicked use that name as shelter." The angel replies, "Because men often desire comfort more than change. They call mercy a pillow for their weakness, forgetting it was meant to awaken them to power. Grace is not freedom to remain in chains. It is the key that unlocks them. It calls man to rise, to walk in the likeness of him who sent it." The man said, "Then redemption. Is it only for those who believe or for all?" The angel replies, "Redemption was offered to all, but only the willing drink of its cup. The Eternal does not force love. He invites it. Those who turn their hearts receive a robe of light, but those who love darkness hide from his touch. The cross was wide enough for the world, yet narrow for the stubborn soul." The man said, "And the cross, why must it be through pain? Could not the Eternal have spoken and forgiven all?" The angel replies, "He could, yet love desired to walk through the dust it sought to redeem. He did not send a command, he came himself. The nails were not defeat, they were the price of intimacy. Only through shared pain could heaven touch earth and say, 'I know your sorrow.'" The man said, "And now, what does it mean to be saved?" The angel replies, "To be saved is not to escape earth, but to be awakened within it. Salvation is the rebirth of sight, when man no longer sees through guilt, but through grace. It is when a heart becomes a dwelling of light, and the spirit within begins to govern thought, desire, and deed." The man said, "So grace awakens and salvation transforms?" The angel replies, "Yes, one births the other. Grace opens the gate and salvation walks the path. The redeemed are not those who simply believe. They are those who become. Heaven rejoices not in words spoken, but in lives reborn." The man said, "Then what is man that the Almighty is mindful of him?" The angel replies, "Ah, the question of ages. Man, the breath of the Eternal, trapped in dust. He is small in stature, yet vast in design. Angels marvel, for through man, the Creator reveals dimensions of love even we cannot grasp. You are his mirror, his melody in motion. When man walks in harmony with heaven, creation itself finds peace." The man said, "So every life has meaning, even in its brokenness?" The angel replies, "Yes. Brokenness is not an end. It is the doorway through which light enters. The Eternal delights in mending what was shattered, for every restored soul becomes a testimony that love never fails. Even your scars, Son of Man, are the handwriting of grace." The man said, "And when man forgets, when he falls again?" The angel replies, "Then grace whispers again. It does not grow weary. The Eternal's mercy renews with every dawn. But remember this, grace invites. It never forces. You must open your heart anew every time you fall, for it is not failure that distances you, but forgetfulness." The man said, "Then tell me, will this grace ever end?" The angel replies, "Never. It flows from an infinite source. Even when time folds and stars are called back to silence, grace will still sing, for it is the nature of the one who gives it." The man said, I feel peace. I feel light." The angel replies, "Then you have touched what heaven has longed to show." The man said, "Tell me, O radiant one, before all things were, what was there? Where did thought begin before the heavens were stretched?" The angel replied, Before thought was breath, and before breath was will. The Eternal One desired to behold his own beauty, and in that desiring light was born. That light is the womb of all things, seen and unseen. The stars are its children, and wisdom is its first voice. The man said, "And what of darkness? Was it born from his will, or did it rise in rebellion?" The angel replied, "Darkness was not created as evil, son of earth. It was the shadow that gave meaning to light. When light fills all, it blinds creation. So darkness was given as the boundary where choice could dwell. From it came the mystery of obedience. For where no shadow exists, there is no will to follow or to turn away." The man said, "Then is rebellion part of his design?" The angel said, "Rebellion is not his will, but his allowance. The Eternal gave all spirits the gift of choice, for love cannot breathe where freedom is strangled. The morning star fell not because light failed, but because he desired light without obedience. He sought the throne without the heart of service." The man replied, "I see now why pride is called the ancient fire. Yet tell me, Radiant One, what holds creation together even as rebellion grows among men?" The angel said, "The voice of the Eternal. Every atom still trembles at his whisper. Though men forget him, their breath remembers. The wind obeys, the seas remember their boundaries, and even the stars bow in hidden reverence. But man alone wrestles with his Maker, and still the Maker calls him beloved." The man said, "How can that be? Why call him beloved when he defiles what was given him?" The angel said, "Because love does not measure loss, it restores it. The Eternal looks not at what man is, but what he was meant to become. Grace is not permission to sin, it is power to return. It is not a weak pardon, it is a fire that purifies the core of being." The man replied, "Then why do so many who claim grace still live bound?" The angel said, "Because they see grace as mercy alone, and not as transformation. They drink the cup of pardon, but refuse the wine of renewal. Grace does not only forgive the act, it rebuilds the soul that chose it. It is the breath of the Holy One shaping man again into his likeness." The man said, "And the Spirit, how does he move within such frail dust?" The angel replied, "The Spirit is not a visitor. He is the heir of your rebirth. He is the inner fire that does not consume but refines. When he enters, he brings remembrance. He awakens the design written before your bones were framed." The man said, "Then what of those who silence that voice within them?" The angel replied, "They do not silence him, they silence themselves. The Spirit waits in stillness. He never departs in wrath. He is patient like dawn waiting for the eye that will open. Many hear him not because they drown in their own noise." The man said, "And how does heaven see those who fall yet rise again?" The angel said, "Each rising echoes through the halls of light. You think heaven celebrates perfection, but it rejoices in restoration. The Eternal delights not in the strong who never stumble, but in the humble who fall and still crawl toward him." The man said, "Then why does hell persist if love conquers all?" The angel replied, "Because love does not force itself upon the unyielding. Hell is not a prison built by God, it is a chamber built by choice. The fire there is not God's wrath, it is his presence experienced without surrender. For to the heart in rebellion, even light feels like torment." The man said, "Such mysteries are heavy upon me. Tell me then, Radiant One, what is the destiny of man when all things return to their Maker?" The angel replied, "Man shall rule again, but not with hands of flesh. He shall govern with thought, speak with light, and move in unity with the eternal. The redeemed shall not merely sing before the throne, they shall become its reflection. Dominion is not lost, it is delayed until wisdom ripens. The man said, "And the angels, what becomes of you when all is fulfilled?" The angel replied, "We shall rejoice when man takes his true place, for angels are not heirs, but guardians of the heirs. When the sons of light rise in full glory, we shall bow, for the image of the eternal is restored in them. Then creation shall breathe peace again." The man said, "My heart trembles at these truths. Will the pain of earth ever be healed?" The angel said, "It already is, though you see it not." Redemption is not an event in time. It is a river flowing through all ages. Every sorrow you bear now is already answered in eternity. The tears you shed are seeds in the soil of forever. They bloom where time cannot reach. The man said, "I wish I could see as you see." The angel replied, "You will, Son of Man, when your gaze is cleansed by surrender. Sight in heaven is not given, it is grown through yielding. When you trust the eternal even in darkness, your eyes begin to open." The man said, "Then teach me how to yield." The angel said, "Yielding is not weakness. It is the strength to let go of illusion. Man clings to his will as if it were his life, but the true will begins when the false one dies. The eternal does not demand your strength. He asks for your emptiness that he may fill it." The man said, "Then the greatest offering is surrender." The angel said, "Yes. Worship is not the sound of lips, but the silence of yielded hearts. True dominion begins there, for only he who bows in spirit can stand in authority." The man said, "And what of the silence of God? Many call, yet hear nothing." The angel replied, "Silence is not absence, it is invitation. When the eternal is silent, he is forming the answer in you. Do not mistake his quiet for distance. It is the stillness before revelation. Even the stars were silent before they were spoken into light." The man said, "Then in silence, he is still near." The angel said, "Always. His nearness is not measured by sound, but by presence. The eternal is closer to the broken than to the proud. For the cracks in a soul let the light enter freely." The man said, "Will I see you again?" The angel replied, "You will see me in obedience, hear me in wisdom, and know me in peace. For I am not bound to form, but to purpose. When you walk in truth, you walk with us." The man said, "Then I am not alone?" The angel said, "Never. The eternal placed watchers by your side, unseen but unceasing. You are more guarded than you know. Every time you choose light, the heavens stand and bear witness." The man said, "And when I fail?" The angel said, "Then heaven weeps, but not in despair. Its tears are rain to call you home. You fall upon mercy, not judgment. For the eternal's justice is his mercy clothed in fire." The angel said, "Son of earth, you have asked of the hidden paths, the scrolls upon which eternity writes the name and journey of every living soul. Few have seen such things and lived unchanged." The man said, "Then show me, messenger of light. For I have often wondered if my steps are guided, or if I wander alone through the dark corridors of fate." The angel replied, "You do not wander, though the shadows may make it seem so. In the courts above, every life begins as a word spoken by the eternal. That word becomes light, and that light takes form as destiny. Yet light does not force its way, it invites." The man said, "Invites? You mean the destiny of a man can be refused?" The angel said, It is not refused but neglected. Destiny waits like a faithful friend at the door, while man busies himself with noise. Heaven's purpose is patient, but time is not. For each scroll bears not only a purpose, but seasons of unfolding. When those seasons pass, what could have been becomes a silence in the record. The man said, "Then what becomes of a man who misses his season? Does heaven erase him?" The angel replied, "Heaven erases no one. The Father is not a merchant to discard broken vessels, but when alignment is lost, the scroll becomes sealed until repentance reopens it. That is why grace is not a license to drift. It is the breath that calls you back to your path." The man said, "Then grace is correction, not permission." The angel said, "Yes. Grace is heaven's memory of what you were meant to be. When you fall, it whispers your name from the place you left. Many hear it and rise. Some silence it and call it peace. But peace outside purpose is slumber." The man said, "Then tell me, what can make a man not fulfill his destiny?" The angel's eyes grew bright as dawn. "Many things," he said softly. "Distraction, fear, pride, and the hunger for validation. Yet above them all is forgetfulness, when man forgets the voice that first called him. The enemy does not always destroy. Sometimes he only makes you forget." The man said, "And if a man remembers but feels unworthy to return?" The angel replied, "Then heaven remembers for him. Worthiness was never the price. Alignment is. When a man turns his gaze back to the one who wrote his name, heaven rushes to rewrite the story from where he stands. Nothing is wasted when love reclaims it." The man said, "But can God abandon a man's destiny when he refuses for too long?" The angel said, "God abandons no destiny, but destiny may abandon the vessel that rejects it. The call remains, but if the chosen will not walk, another will carry the torch. For the kingdom's fire must not go out. Yet even then, the mercy of God waits beyond the ashes to rekindle, restore, or redeem the story." The man said, "Then nothing is final while breath remains." The angel replied, "Indeed, for breath is the proof that heaven has not closed the book. Each dawn is a page turned in hope, but man must write upon it with obedience, else the ink of time dries in vain." The man said, "I have felt many times that heaven watches me but does not speak." The angel said, "Heaven's silence is never absence. When the teacher is quiet, it is the hour of your test. The scroll is still being written, even in silence. What you choose in silence echoes louder than words." The man said, "How does heaven record all this? Are angels scribes?" The angel smiled. "We are witnesses, not authors. The author writes through your choices. Each act, each thought, each surrender becomes ink. The Holy Spirit is the quill. You are both the pen and the parchment." The man said, "Then my obedience writes heaven's story upon me." The angel said, "Yes, and the story you live will one day speak for you before the throne. For no deed dies, it merely waits to be read aloud in light." The man said, "Tell me more of this scroll. Can one see it?" The angel replied, "In rare moments when the soul is quiet and heaven draws near, a man may sense the weight of what he was born for. It feels not like vision, but remembrance. For purpose is older than your birth. You knew it before you breathed." The man said, "Why then do we forget?" The angel said, "Because the veil of flesh is mercy. If man remembered all he saw before he was born, he would not walk by faith. Forgetfulness humbles him to seek again. In seeking, he grows worthy of what he once knew." The man said, "So the journey is remembrance restored?" The angel replied, "Yes." Every prayer, every tear, every act of surrender removes the dust from the memory of the soul. The more you walk with the Spirit, the clearer the script becomes. Some read it in dreams, some through trials, and some in the still whisper of their conscience. The man said, "And what of those who never awaken to it?" The angel said, "Then mercy wraps their story with unanswered pages. God alone will read those when the ages end. For even a wasted life may bear hidden fruit in another's awakening." The man was silent for a long while. The air shimmered and the sound of wings moved like wind through unseen corridors. At last the man said, "What is written about me?" The angel looked upon him with eyes of eternal patience. "You would not believe it if I told you. You are written as one who carries remembrance, one who will remind others of the voice they have forgotten. Your pain, your longing, your questions are not weakness. They are your scroll calling you to awaken." The man said, "Then my struggle is a message?" The angel said, "Every holy struggle is a prophecy. It declares that darkness still fears the light you carry. You were not sent to escape pain, but to translate it into purpose." The man bowed his head. "Then tell me, messenger of heaven, how can a man guard his destiny?" The angel said, "By walking in daily alignment. Destiny is not reached by leaps, but by steps. Many seek mountains and ignore paths, yet the paths shape the man who will stand upon the mountain." The man said, "And when the mountain feels far?" The angel said, "Then remember, destiny is not a place, it is a presence. If the presence walks with you, you are already within your calling." The man said, "Messenger, you spoke of alignment as the guard of destiny. Yet the heart of man is frail, swayed by winds and wounded by days. How can frailty hold the weight of something eternal?" The angel said, "Because the eternal chose frailty as his dwelling. The clay was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be yielded. You do not hold destiny. Destiny holds you when you stop resisting its grip." The man said, "But how can a man yield what he cannot see?" The angel replied, "By trust. For faith is the sight of the unseen, and surrender is its language. When a man trusts the whisper more than the noise, he begins to walk in alignment." The man said, "And what is this alignment truly? Is it obedience or is it harmony with heaven?" The angel said, "It is both. Alignment is when your choices, your emotions, and your will echo the rhythm of the divine script written over your life. You do not strive to become aligned. You learn to listen until your will bows to the deeper melody." The man said, "Then sin is not only disobedience, but dissonance." The angel smiled. "You see clearly now. Sin is when the heart plays out of tune with heaven's rhythm. Repentance is not punishment, it is retuning. That is why some men pray much yet remain restless. They pray for direction but resist correction. The song of destiny is heard only by the obedient." The man said, "But can the song be lost forever?" The angel said, "Never lost, only buried. Even when you forget your song, heaven remembers. And when you kneel in sincerity, the Spirit breathes upon the buried notes, reviving the melody. This is why broken men often become great vessels. Their cracks allow the old music to escape." The man said, "What happens in the realm of heaven when a man misaligns?" The angel said, "The scroll does not move. Heaven waits. The angelic scribes hold their quills in stillness, for we cannot write rebellion. The pages of purpose are written only in the ink of obedience. That is why some lives seem paused, not because heaven is silent, but because man has stopped moving in the rhythm of grace. The man said, "Then what can make a man fall out of that rhythm?" The angel said, "Let me show you the 4 thieves of destiny. The first is distraction, when your eyes become full of what you were never called to carry. The second is fear, when you imagine failure louder than the promises of God. The third is pride, when you believe your wisdom can improve the plan. And the fourth is exhaustion, when you forget to rest in the one who sends you." The man said, "And what of delay?" "When a man waits long for his promise." The angel said, "Delay is not denial. It is heaven's way of preparing capacity. Sometimes the promise waits for the man to grow into it. The waiting does not waste you, it weaves you. Every delay writes endurance upon your spirit, so that when the promise comes, it finds a vessel able to carry it without breaking." The man said, "So heaven waits for us as we wait for it?" The angel said, "Indeed. Divine timing is not only heaven's readiness, but man's maturity. The moment both align, the scroll opens, and life begins to accelerate in ways unseen." The man said, "Then what happens to a man who refuses his calling entirely?" The angel said, "His name remains written, but his script becomes dim. The heavens mourn when one turns from his assignment, for each destiny carries the fragrance of many others. When one candle refuses to burn, many remain in darkness. Yet mercy still stands beside him, whispering, 'Return.' Even in rebellion, the voice of purpose follows him like shadow." The man said, "Can the Eternal ever remove that calling?" The angel said, "The calling remains, but its season may pass." When Saul lost alignment, the oil sought David. God's plan does not collapse when men disobey. It reroutes. The hand of heaven never withdraws from the earth. It only seeks vessels willing to carry what others dropped. The man said, "And what of those who wish to return? Can lost time be restored?" The angel said, "He who made time is not bound by it. When repentance is genuine, the Spirit compresses seasons. What took 10 years in delay can be rewritten in 1 year of alignment. That is the mystery of restoration, the mercy that moves faster than time." The man said, "So repentance not only forgives, but accelerates?" The angel said, "Yes. For forgiveness cleanses your record, but alignment redeems your journey. Both are the wings by which destiny flies again." The man said, "Tell me then, what can cause heaven to pause a destiny?" The angel said, "Heaven pauses where pride rises. For pride is not always arrogance. Sometimes it hides in independence, when man acts without consulting the Spirit. Heaven cannot build on disobedience, even if the work looks noble. Many build empires in the name of purpose, but outside the voice of God. Their works shine for a moment, but the scroll bears no record of them." The man said, "You mean that even good works can be unrecorded?" The angel said, "Goodness without obedience is noise. Heaven measures not by applause, but by alignment. A deed only enters the scroll if it flows from divine instruction. The smallest act done in obedience outweighs 1,000 great acts done for self-glory." The man said, "Then a man's destiny can be missed while he appears successful." The angel said, "Yes, and such is the most tragic form of failure. Earth may crown him, but heaven may mourn him. For destiny is not what you achieve, it is who you become in the process of obedience. If success makes you forget the voice that sent you, you have succeeded outside the scroll." The man said, "Then what can make God hide a man?" The angel said, "Seasons of hiding are protection, not punishment. Heaven conceals its vessels until their roots are deep enough to carry light without pride. Hiddenness purifies motive. You must never confuse delay with denial or obscurity with rejection. The finest gold is kept longest in the fire." The man said, "And when the fire feels endless?" The angel said, "Then you must remember, destiny is not hurried. The process is the prophecy. Every pain, every pruning, every unseen day is heaven shaping the vessel. When the process ends, the man will realize that the promise was not a destination, but a transformation." The man said, "You speak as though the journey is more sacred than the arrival." The angel smiled, "Because the journey births the man who can sustain the arrival. Destiny is not about reaching heaven's dream. It is about becoming heaven's dream in flesh." The man said, "Then the true fulfillment of destiny is when man mirrors the one who sent him." The man said, "Messenger, I have walked through the chambers of remembrance and stood in the light of alignment. Yet I feel an unseen resistance pressing against me. Why does the journey of destiny carry such warfare?" The angel said, "Because what heaven writes, hell resists. Every man who carries a scroll carries a target. You were not born into peace, you were born into prophecy, and prophecy provokes opposition." The man said, "Then why would heaven allow war around what it has blessed?" The angel said, "Because conflict awakens power. The war over your destiny is not to destroy you, but to reveal the strength buried within you. A scroll sealed in ease would remain unread. It is through the heat of battle that the words written in you begin to glow." The man said, "But how do spirits contend with the destiny of men?" The angel said, "They contend through suggestion, deception, and delay. They cannot erase the scroll, but they can smudge your vision of it. The enemy fears clarity, for once a man truly sees who he is, darkness loses its hold. That is why your greatest battles come after moments of revelation. Every insight attracts resistance." The man said, "Then revelation is both light and war." The angel said, "Indeed. Light invites war because darkness cannot dwell beside it. But remember, darkness fights hardest where it fears losing control. The war over your destiny is a compliment to your calling." The man said, "I have felt weariness, silence, even confusion. Is that also warfare?" The angel said, "Yes. Silence is the enemy's oldest weapon. When the heavens seem quiet, he whispers lies to fill the void. He tells you that heaven has forgotten you, that your prayers are unseen, that your efforts are vain. But the silence of heaven is never absence. It is preparation. When God pauses, he is sharpening the word that will pierce the storm." The man said, "Then how do I discern when the silence is divine and when it is deception?" The angel said, "By your posture. When silence leads you to stillness, it is God. When silence leads you to despair, it is the enemy. The spirit of heaven stills, the spirit of darkness drains. One teaches trust, the other breeds fear." The man said, "Tell me, who are these spirits that fight men's destinies?" The angel said, "They are ancient watchers who fell from obedience. Once bearers of light, now merchants of confusion. They study men's patterns, sowing lies that sound like reason. They fear men because you carry what they lost. Authority." The man said, "Authority? How does man hold authority over ancient beings?" The angel said, "Through image. You were made in the likeness of the eternal. Every command of heaven flows through that likeness. When man forgets his image, he forfeits his power. But when he remembers, even the fallen bow, the man said, then the war is not for power, but for remembrance. The angel said, yes. The enemy does not fear your prayer, your fasting, or your songs. He fears your remembrance. When you recall who you truly are, his lies crumble. That is why his warfare begins with distraction. He fills your days so that you forget your origin. The man said, and when a man forgets, what becomes of his scroll? The angel said, it remains sealed. Heaven does not erase destiny, but it cannot unfold what man will not awaken to. Many live long but never open their scrolls. They call it survival, but heaven calls it delay. The man said, then how does heaven defend the scrolls of men? The angel said, through intercession. Every destiny has a voice in heaven, sometimes an ancestor who walked faithfully, sometimes an angelic watcher assigned to your line. Their prayers and interventions keep your name alive in the books of remembrance. That is why some men rise though they did not earn it. Grace speaks from the altar of their fathers. The man said, then others fall because their fathers fell. The angel said, not unless they choose the same path. Ancestral failure does not bind the willing, it only shadows the careless. Every generation has the right to rewrite its altar through obedience. The blood of rebellion flows until the blood of surrender interrupts it. The man said, then every man is both a continuation and a correction. The angel said, exactly. You inherit more than blood, you inherit unfinished assignments. Heaven measures lineage not by names, but by mandates. The battles you face often began before you were born. When you conquer, you free more than yourself. You rewrite your bloodline. The man said, then how does man fight for his scroll? The angel said, by remembrance, by purity, by utter obedience. The true battlefield is not external, but internal. Your thoughts are the gates. When fear enters, it gives legal ground to darkness. When faith stands, it builds a wall of light. Warfare is not always shouting. Sometimes it is silence guarded by faith. The man said, and what of those who have fallen, men who were once great but now live in shadows? The angel said, their scrolls grieve, but they do not vanish. Heaven keeps them in the archives of mercy. If they ever turn again, even with trembling lips, the seal can be broken anew. Redemption is the one mystery the enemy cannot decode. The man said, why? The angel said, because it flows from love, and he never understood love. His rebellion began with envy, and envy cannot interpret mercy. That is why every time a man repents, it reminds the enemy of what he lost forever. The man said, so repentance is more powerful than warfare itself. The angel said, yes. Repentance wins battles that swords cannot. It confuses principalities because it shifts authority instantly. The moment a man bends his knee sincerely, heaven rises to his defense. No demon can fight a surrendered will, the man said. Then why do so few rise? Why do many remain bound even after praying? The angel said, because they pray for escape, not transformation. Heaven delivers not by removing the battle, but by remaking the soldier. You cannot conquer what you still desire. True deliverance is when the appetite dies before the enemy does. The man said, then freedom is inward. The angel said, entirely. The greatest wars of destiny are fought within. Before a man subdues nations, he must subdue himself. Every unchecked emotion, every secret desire becomes an open gate in warfare. The man said, and when man conquers himself? The angel said, then heaven entrusts him with territories. Dominion begins in discipline. The man who governs his tongue can govern cities. The one who rules his emotions can command angels. The man said, "Then tell me, what is written in the final war over the scroll?" The angel said, "It is the battle of alignment against corruption." The man said, "Messenger of the Most High, I have seen the war over the scrolls of men and felt the trembling of unseen powers. Yet I sense another truth beyond warfare, a higher order, a divine authority that governs all realms. Tell me, what are these thrones that rule creation?" The angel said, "You ask of the thrones of dominion, the sacred pillars upon which authority stands. Before there was war, before light divided from shadow, there were thrones. Dominion is not conquest, but order, not pride, but harmony. Every creature, seen and unseen, draws its alignment from those thrones." The man said, "Then dominion is not power alone?" The angel said, "No. Power without purpose corrupts, and purpose without power fades. Dominion is the marriage of both. It is the language of heaven's government, where wisdom and authority meet in perfect balance. Dominion is the rhythm of obedience translated into rule." The man said, "And who sits upon these thrones?" The angel said, "There are many orders, yet all reflect one. At the summit sits the Eternal himself, the source of all authority. Below him flow the councils of light, the thrones, dominions, virtues, and powers. Each order carries a facet of his essence. The thrones embody judgment, the dominions express divine governance. The virtues channel the force of miracles, the powers maintain the balance between realms." The man said, "Then angels too are rulers." The angel said, "We are stewards of command, not rulers by will. Our authority is borrowed, our power is obedience personified. The moment an angel acts apart from the will of the Most High, his light decays into darkness. Thus fell the morning star, the first to believe power was self-born." The man said, "And yet man was called to rule. How could dust hold such weight?" The angel said, "Because the Eternal clothed himself in dust. You were designed to reign not over creation, but through communion. Dominion was never given to isolate man, but to align him. In the beginning, when the breath of God entered clay, heaven saw its own reflection in you. You became the meeting point between spirit and earth, a living temple, a voice that bridges realms." The man said, "Then why does man fear authority?" The angel said, "Because he mistook authority for control. True authority does not oppress, it orders. When man fell, he lost the rhythm of divine command. His speech became fleshly, his rule became self-centered. That is why creation groans, not because man lacks strength, but because he rules without alignment." The man said, "Then dominion must be rediscovered through submission." The angel said, "Indeed, you cannot reign with the Eternal until you kneel before him. Dominion flows from intimacy. Every time you obey without questioning love, heaven entrusts you with more ground. The humble carry the greatest crowns because they have no need to wear them." The man said, "Tell me of these crowns. What do they signify?" The angel said, "Crowns are symbols of conquest, but in heaven they represent surrender. Each crown reflects a victory over self, over pride, fear, or rebellion. When the redeemed cast their crowns before the throne, they are not discarding reward, they are returning acknowledgement. For every victory was grace in disguise." The man said, "Then the crowns of earth, fame, power, wealth, are they illusions?" The angel said, "They are shadows. Earthly crowns fade with breath, heavenly ones are forged in obedience. One day every human throne will bow before the great throne. The kingdoms of the world will become the kingdoms of our Lord, not through conquest of armies, but through the reign of light. The man said, "What does it mean that man will judge angels?" The angel said, "Ah, a mystery the heavens still ponder. Judgment here means discernment, not condemnation. When man attains the full stature of the Eternal's image, he will discern what angels could not see, the mystery of redemption. Angels know holiness, men know mercy. You will judge by a wisdom bought with tears, a justice refined by suffering. That is why the Son of Man reigns above all thrones, because he conquered not by force but by love." The man said, "Then dominion is not only authority, it is love expressed as rule." The angel said, "Yes, the highest throne is not made of gold but of compassion. The one who reigns in heaven rules by humility. Even the Eternal bends, not in weakness but in mercy. Every act of forgiveness is a decree of dominion, for mercy sustains creation more than power does." The man said, "How does heaven's authority interact with earth?" The angel said, "Through partnership. Heaven never rules for man, but with him. Every divine act seeks agreement in the human heart. When you pray, 'Thy will be done,' you authorize heaven's movement. Without human consent, divine order remains in waiting. That is the weight of free will. The Creator humbles himself to cooperate with his creation." The man said, "Then prayer is not begging, it is legislation." The angel said, "Indeed. The true altar is a courtroom of light. Every genuine prayer is a legal declaration that shifts realms. When spoken from purity, even whispers become thunder in the spirit. Many pray loud, but few pray lawful. Heaven responds not to emotion, but to alignment." The man said, "Then how does one learn this alignment?" The angel said, "Through stillness and hearing. You must unlearn the noise of haste. Dominion requires rhythm. The Eternal speaks in balance, silence and sound, motion and rest. To reign, you must listen longer than you speak. The greatest kings are those who understand when heaven is silent." The man said, "Is that why some of the greatest prophets waited years before one word?" The angel said, "Through stillness and hearing. You must unlearn the noise of haste. Dominion requires rhythm. The Eternal speaks in balance, silence and sound, motion and rest. To reign, you must listen longer than you speak. The greatest kings are those who understand when heaven is silent." The man said, "Is that why some of the greatest prophets waited years before one word?" The angel said, "Yes. Because weighty words require worthy vessels, heaven does not waste revelation on impatience. The longer the silence, the heavier the word to come. When the word finally breaks, it shifts ages." The man said, "Then what of the thrones themselves? Do they still move among men?" The angel said, "They move through men. Every generation carries reflections of those ancient thrones. When a man speaks truth in love, the throne of wisdom moves. When he rules with justice, the throne of dominion awakens. When he intercedes for the broken, the throne of mercy shines. The Eternal spreads his thrones across humanity so that earth mirrors heaven." The man said, "Then each man has a throne within." The angel said, "Yes, a seat of decision. Each choice is a decree. When you yield to righteousness, you enthrone heaven within you. But when you yield to pride, you enthrone rebellion. Dominion begins at the altar of will." The man said, "And how does one guard this inner throne?" The angel said, through remembrance and discipline. Feed your throne truth, not emotion. Let gratitude be your incense, humility your guard. Never rule from pain, it breeds tyranny. Rule from peace, for peace is the language of the Eternal's government. The man said, peace as language. The angel said, yes. All creation understands peace. It is the sound before words. When you speak from peace, angels move swiftly. When you speak from chaos, they wait, for they cannot translate confusion. Dominion rests in calm hearts. The man said, I begin to see. Dominion is not about control, but reflection. Mirroring the one above the angel said, exactly. Dominion is heaven remembering itself through you. Every time you choose light, the Eternal smiles through your vessel. You are his image, his echo, his throne in motion. The man said, and when this dominion is perfected? The angel said, then earth will sing again. The rivers will dance, the stars will hum, and all creation will exhale. For when man reigns rightly, everything finds rest. The thrones of heaven and earth will merge, and time itself will kneel before eternity. The man said, messenger, what becomes of you then? The angel said, we shall serve beside you. Angels will not rule over men, but with them. For in that day, every servant of light will bow to the image of the Eternal reflected in redeemed man. The hierarchy will not end, it will harmonize the man bowed low. Then the destiny of man is to reign with God. The angel said, yes, not to replace him, but to reveal him. Dominion is God multiplied through sons. Every act of righteousness, every word of truth is another throne established. The more you obey, the more heaven reigns upon the earth. The man lifted his eyes as light gathered like morning. The angel said, remember, son of earth, to reign is to serve is to love, and to love is to live eternally. Guard your throne with humility, for when heaven finds a man who rules himself, the world will see the face of God again. Like and subscribe for more.